Hello, everyone. I am back from my journeys abroad. This is IT Live, and I'm here with Ian Boyd. We're going to talk about the flyover defense, which Ian coined, but it's that three high safety defense. And then I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about Sorsby. I've been out of the mix for 3 weeks, so I do want to talk about that a little bit. But first, inside Texas right now, summer sale, 50% off Ultimate Fan Bundle. That means you'll get IT, On3, and Rivals all together, plus a full year of access to The Athletic. We also have another guest here, Ian, who has joined us on this wonderful morning.
One of my children.
Hopefully that's more ideal. Izzy, can you wave? Are you already bored?
She's already bored, I think.
Wave, Izzy. Wave to the audience. Not anymore. She was doing it right before the show. Let's talk flyover. Why did you want to discuss this, Ian? What sparked your interest in this?
There's a few answers to that. One is that it's the off season. I pulled up Smithson Valley versus Frisco Lone Star in the 5A state championship game this last fall. And I was like, I think I'm going to watch a little more Ty Knutson, the Smithson Valley quarterback that is committed to Texas, and just see if I can clip some of his throws and game for people. I still may do that. But watching it, I was like, man, the real story of this game is that Smithson Valley had a flyover defense part of their package, and they shut down this Frisco quarterback, Trey Wright, that SMU is interested in and some other programs of that level are interested in, who threw for 4,000 yards as a sophomore and ran for 1,700. So he's like an amazing athlete, super skilled passer, and Smithson Valley beat him 28-6 and shut them down. And they did it largely with this 3-deep flyover deal.
This right here. Go ahead and break it down for us, the flexibility it provides.
Texas actually has a version of this as well, but there's a GIF above that you can play that shows them getting into this. I don't know if that, you'll have to make it big. But the nickel kind of drifts out and he ends up almost like a corner, only he's cheated inside of the outside receiver a little bit. The corner is bailing back like he's a deep half safety. And they had like one of their best players played that corner spot, who's also like their best receiver. The middle safety could then play in the middle like a Tampa 2 Mike linebacker. It's like one of the trademarks of this defense. And then they're in like normal cover 2 in the boundary. So it's like a Tampa 2. People call this a non-traditional Tampa 2. It's like one of the buzzwords you'll hear described for this. And it is extremely effective against the spread offense. And it is extremely effective for a lot of high schools encountering spread offenses, because you'll get into this dilemma that we'll get into. The spread offenses are really hard to defend.
See, Homer is back from summer camp. Hope you got the basket weaving merit badge. Yes, a lot of fun stuff has happened in my absence. I've had to like kind of check Twitter, and I'm trying to get back into everything because I missed a lot, but happy to be back, everyone. All right. What's the value here? It looks cool, but what does it actually do? And then what does it actually do at the college level too? Because some teams run this as well.
Well, you're playing Tampa 2 from 4 down. And the old school way of playing Tampa 2 defense does not work against the spread, because the old school way, you'd have to use your Mike linebacker to bail back. And so it's like you are either playing 5 in the box and getting trucked in the run game, or you were not playing Tampa 2. And if you weren't playing Tampa 2, then it was harder to find zone coverages where you weren't getting caught one-on-one against the spread. Like one of the biggest challenges in the spread offense is that it makes it too easy for offenses to get their best player on a overmatched defender one-on-one in coverage. And if you're a high school team,
I was saying pre-snap, you can identify that immediately.
In identifying it pre-snap, because the spacing is so great that you can't hide who's left on an island. And then if you're Smithson Valley, like what are the odds that every single year that you have state championship aspirations, that you also have a guy who stays healthy all year, who can move and play multiple positions, and who can play one-on-one coverage against the caliber of receiver that you're likely to face en route to the championship?
It's low.
High school's not the problem. For like Denton Geyer, they might have a guy like that every single year and they're fine.
Denton Geyer is a horrible school, so I don't even think they would be that good. So maybe Denton Ryan, like the real true Denton school that's elite, maybe, but I don't know, not Denton Geyer, right?
Okay. I got the wrong one for you.
Yeah, I'm not Denton Geyer.
Duncanville, North Shore, those schools always have like dudes, and they can play defenses that ask guys to hold up one-on-one, and that's great. And they'll be fine, usually. Smithson Valley, a little different demographic. And then a lot of other schools just don't have that kind of guy. And so they need ways to play zone defense that hold up against spread tactics without getting them run over. And this does that.
Freelance Society, thank you. Getting my flyover defense knowledge in from Ukraine, which SEC teams will do the best this season in 2026. Ian, do you have a quick detour there?
That's a big one. That's kind of like where we're going with this. So do we want to save it?
Sure.
In short, I think this is something that we got to be watching.
Aware of.
I don't think it's as established in the SEC right now, but it will be. It will be, because it works.
So just so we know that needs to be the ability for a middle field player. We don't want that to be a linebacker. Everyone thinks of like Urlacher, right, as the pole runner, but we ideally don't want that anymore. We want that more as a DB body who can play the middle of the field. We like the flexibility to where different guys can drop back into different coverages. I hear people will equate three high safety defense always to like a cover three, and that's not how it works. You can do a bunch of stuff from it, so you get that ability, and then you have here like the nickel able to go play the flats. So you have all this flexibility. You have athletes in the right spots, and quarterbacks don't know necessarily what's going to occur pre-snap.
And the two other big things about it. One is that it protects your linebackers really well. So like if in like a 3-by-1 set like this, if Frisco Lone Star ran the ball, the linebackers were staying in the box. And so their linebackers both ended up with a gazillion tackles. Their strong safety was a good tackler in run fitter. And he's also the kind of guy that high schools can routinely have, like a 5'9", 170-pound dude that's never going to play at a higher level, but he's like tough and a good tackler and can run a little bit. Like a high school like Smithson Valley is always going to have dudes like that. They just don't always have the dude that can flip his hips and run, right?
So we have Smith. She's going hard back there. So we have Smithson Valley. That's great. That's a high school team. What does this mean for the college game? And who's running this? After Ian.
One other thing.
You can say to her, Izzy, please keep it down.
I may summon one of the other children to grab her.
Yeah.
The other thing also is that you get the layered coverage.
Right.
So like challenging man coverage is maybe the hardest thing for a quarterback to beat, but good layered zone coverage is maybe the next best thing. Especially when you have like the corner and the free safety can play downhill on anything. And if you throw something too shallow, you got the underneath defenders that can tip it and pick it off. And if you throw it too high and sail it, then you got these deep guys that can pick it off. It is very dangerous. So that's anytime you can build a dangerous coverage without needing individual dangerous hip flipping athletes, that's a huge win. That was the whole appeal of this for Iowa State when they built this defense.
Right.
And that's why it's been catching on in the college level as well.
But the variation going from 3 down to 4 down is the newest kind of, I guess, innovation on it. And I know Oregon plays it, but I'm not sure who else of the big dogs is implementing this.
Oregon runs like almost exactly this, where they'll keep the linebackers wide and they'll drop their strong safety down, and they keep getting like a Smithson Valley looking dude from the Big Ten to play that middle spot every year. It's really funny. A lot of schools are implementing it in pieces, but not always full time. For Oregon, it's like one of their main calls. Indiana will run a very similar version of this, where that boundary corner will be the deep half guy. The free safety will slide over and play in the middle where that strong safety is. And the strong safety will bail deep so that the nickel and the corner can play underneath to the field. And so Indiana got like a bunch of picks in the playoffs last year, where D'Angelo Pons would be the top corner, and him or that free safety would end up in position to jump routes that quarterbacks did not expect because they'd mixed this in. So Indiana is doing a lot of this. And you feel like you're back on vacation again, Connor?
Yeah. Just the music from the streets.
And then let's see here. Oregon, Indiana, Georgia tried to mix this in last year against the Veer and Shoot and got squashed because they didn't do it well. Oklahoma does this a fair bit. They may do it more and more because they just keep getting better and better at it and figuring. Venables has figured out it's an amazing way to mix in all sorts of different stuff. But he doesn't do this as much. He doesn't do this Tampa 2 stuff as much. He just does his normal defense, but from a 3-high presentation that totally screens all of his intentions.
How do you think Sark has done against this defense? It can be the 3-down variation or the 4-down.
He did really well against Oklahoma last year.
Of course.
He's done pretty well. One of Sark's big adjustments to this is just to get big and run the football.
Right.
That's the most obvious solution for this style of defense. I don't think it's ideal or optimal because you're conceding potentially the firepower to score a lot of points. And you're kind of like, okay, fine, I'll get back in the box of 3 yards in a cloud of dust. And I'll let you play this game close. And I'll try to trust in my ability to control the game with consistent chain-moving first downs in the run game. If you're Texas, maybe you can do that most of the time. If you're a big school, maybe you can do that, but it's not like universal.
It was a lot of power, counter, sweeps, that kind of trying to push down the 4-eye in the 3-down version, right? That was mostly the run game.
Unbalanced formations too.
Yeah.
You get into like 4 receivers to one side and get the tight end over. And you can because they have limited guys left to move around in the box because they have so many back end coverage guys.
But the 4-down version of this doesn't have that problem, right? Where you can trap that 4-eye inside and just down block too. So is there something about the 4-down that benefits you in the run game here? Do you still get to play the bully ball, or have they solved that with the 4-down variation? Bye, Izzy.
Okay, thank God. All right. There's a bunch of advantages in the 4-down version. One is that you can still play all your normal 4-down defense. So like this can be a component of your strategy without like just burning the rest of your playbook. Because the original popular version of the Flyover was the 3-down version. Another Central Texas recent high school championship team used Vandegrift, used that 3-down Flyover deal that was closer to Iowa State's system. And if you want to stay a 4-down team and not just completely overhaul everything, then this sort of method where you just kind of slide the guys in the back around to try to get into Tampa 2 alignments is good. if you want that 4-2 box. There's a lot of teams, like there was years and years of teams figuring out how do we keep a 4-2 box against spread teams without getting caught. And they have like all these different rules for like we can play all these runs this way, like Pax Georgia deals on like here's how you stop counter, here's how you stop inside zone, here's all the stunts and run blitzes you can get into. If teams have all that stuff for 4 down, and they're like, if we could just stay in 4 down in a 4-2 box, we can do all the things that we've done for years to stop these tactics. The problem is that we're having trouble staying in a 4-2 box against some spread sets. And if this allows them to do that, then it just allows them to preserve and not have to overhaul as much.
Next up, we're going to talk about how Texas can attack it. If there's ways that Sark would change from that grinding run style to maybe just saying, let's go deep. And then also our defense is going to play this against us. Before we do that, let's hear a word from Andre.
Texans know when you're injured, there's one name that gets results. Andre the lawyer. Trust the team that has secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans win their injury cases. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, wrongful deaths. Don't let the insurance companies tell you what your claim is worth. Andre the lawyer will fight for you. His principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait. Call 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. Contact info is in the description.
Alrighty. So I might be cherry picking here, but I can't even remember who it was, but it was Ole Miss versus somebody that played 3 down. And Lane Kiffin just denied the whole proposition and just continued to throw it deep on them. Sark hasn't really done that. He's gone bigger and he's tried to grind it out. Do we have the receivers, the quarterback, Sark wanting to do it? Because at the end of the day, if you throw it outside on these teams, there's still only one guy. There might be a level, right? There might be a flat and a high guy, but the inside of the field is where it becomes most perilous, I guess you could say. Can you just focus on trying to win those one-on-ones either through a fade, winning downfield, or some type of comeback layer?
No,
how do you pass against this?
I don't think that's good. This was a component of Texas's strategy for Jeremiah Smith and Ohio State in the last year for sure, and also in the semifinal when they did so well. Theoretically, you can get a one-on-one outside, but the one-on-one is like your receiver in a narrow space of grass between a corner and a safety. And if he tries to run a comeback, then the corner can get in the window. And if he goes back, then there's a safety over the top. It's really, this is another way to put this and why it's valuable is that this allows you to play safeties over the top of dangerous receivers outside without completely like rewiring and compromising your run defense.
What do you think? What do you think the way is to attack then? Through the air.
It has to be spread underneath.
Okay.
Because you still have these zone defenders underneath that can be this does sort of force you into ball control, but you can do it one of 2 ways. You can do it with runs or you can do it with quick underneath passing. The runway is, Drew Kelson, run the damn ball. The runway is the most intuitive, traditional way to do it. Mm-hmm. The spread passing way is better, but it's harder. But it has generally more upside because you involve more threats than you do in the run game where it's just like one guy that the defense knows where he is all the time, the running back. In the spread passing game, it could be multiple guys that are involved, and it's easier to get an athlete in space where a single missed tackle really hurts the defense. That's harder to do in the run game unless you go all the way back to heavy personnel, fullback, multiple tight ends kind of deal. And then maybe you can build a wall and spring him to the edge and get a similar effect. But of course, if you do that, then they probably get out of this because they're no longer worried about bracketing multiple receivers.
Have they gotten better at disguising safety depth? Because I remember one thing about traditional 3 down, 3 high is that you didn't know who was dropping back. So they would keep all those backline players essentially on the same plane, and it was always short at like 10 yards. So are they getting enough depth now? Because that Ole Miss game is that they were still winning one-on-ones because everyone was so far up, they could still get their wide receiver to beat whoever was over top. Are they smarter about that now? Do they run it just like a traditional 7-man coverage where guys actually do drop back far enough?
Who's they, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what even Iowa State. Well, Iowa State's depth wouldn't be significant. They'd all be kind of hanging around 10 yards. And if you had a fast receiver, you could still win downfield.
I think that depends a lot on if the team is playing quarters with this and they're just disguising who is what in quarters. Iowa State did that a lot. Like Iowa State had a little of this, Tampa too, but they also had a lot of plays where they'd be playing like a lot of standard quarter steals. And the gimmick or the conceit was that even if they were in quarters, it was hard to know. It was hard to know that they were in quarters before the snap, and it was hard to know which guys were fulfilling which normal quarters roles.
Right.
Because they had multiple guys in the back that might end up at different places.
But the downside was they all had to stay around each other, so you couldn't tell.
Yeah, and so Sark would get after them in the early years. He would get into like 5 wide because he'd be like, well, they're in quarters ultimately, and it's going to be this guy or this guy that has to carry this like Xavier Worthy slot post or slot double move or whatever he'd line up. And I'm just going to tell like Hudson Card or whoever. It was Hudson Card that one year. I'm sure Quinn Ewers is in there too. Casey Thompson, I think, got in on this too. I'm just going to tell them, like, you're throwing to Xavier Worthy deep. It doesn't really matter which of those overmatched big 215-pound safeties it is. They're not going to be able to keep up. That works really good against that. But if teams are doing this, then they are bailing those deep defenders out. And so they only have like this strong safety in the middle. In this case, is the only like flat-footed guy. And he's going to be matching like a crosser over the middle.
So your only really true spot is you thread it between the corner nickel at some layer, which is dangerous, or you're going here to the shorts. And someone points out Raleigh Brown on dump downs versus this defense.
For sure. Yeah, check downs are awesome versus deep zone if you are good enough and patient enough to hit them.
Ryan Wingo would be fun.
You can try to overstress the strong safety in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Another reason that a lot of defenses like this, like Smithson Valley, is that school can consistently get defensive ends that can actually rush the passer, and they get to stay in 4 down, so they actually get to put their ends on the edge and go. Westlake has done this too sometimes, and Westlake has had, like Colton Vosick and Ethan Burke and stuff, right? So there are ways to overload the deep zones if you can flood them, but then it becomes, can you actually buy enough time to get that throw off?
Against a real pass rushing front.
Yeah, and you can sim blitz this. You could drop an end into one of these underneath zones and bring one of the linebackers. Texas did some of that against Ohio State in the semifinal, where they would get into some of these non-traditional Tampa 2s. So they're bracketing Jeremiah Smith, they're bracketing Carnell Tate, but then they'd still have like a game up front where like suddenly 6'7" Ethan Burke is going like this in a passing window, and Anthony Hill is running past a guard that got crossed up or whatever. It gets really tough.
Yeah, that's why I don't like facing this, because I don't think anybody's been inoculated to it yet, because you get all these advantages of the 4 down, and then you get these traditional abilities to play these 7-man coverages, but then you still get the strong safety lurking in the middle. Can you still attack deep over middle? If so, traditional cover 3 is a traditional triangle, right? Where that middle field player is equal or higher, but in this world it's inverted, so he's actually lower. So can you still find a way over the middle, or you don't even like it at all? You see me trying to find ways to deep pass on it, but I think I just have that one cherry picked Ole Miss example where they just said, "I don't care about your coverage." But
you can,
like, at some level, I'm like, you still got to be able to deep pass.
You can. It's just tough.
Yeah.
We had I kept getting single high with no blitzer and flag, and I was like, man, I know we can burn this deep. And then we would try to do it, and it'd be like, oh yeah, 10-year-olds throw slow moving passes deep, and you make a single mistake and you just end up throwing a bunch of picks.
Yeah.
It's a similar deal here. If you get like I'm trying to think of like Brett Favre, you overload that strong safety and you get Brett Favre throwing a skinny post through a tight window, then you will chew it up, right? But you have to be able to protect it. You have to have Brett Favre. You have to have the guy that gets open and is willing. There are ways to attack it, but do you have another question, or I have another similar?
No, you're good.
Okay. So think about this versus Texas's offense this year. Let's say Texas is that tight end Y is actually attached, because Texas doesn't really play four wide very often. And then you've got, in this case, you have a bracket on X who is maybe Emmett Mosley or Ryan Wingo. Let's say Ryan Wingo is X, Emmett Mosley is H. You could try to hit Emmett Mosley underneath. He's got to fit in between slots by the Mike linebacker and the nickel with the strong safety playing down on anything he does, right? You could maybe just throw it to him short a lot, but those guys are basically creating a triangle around him. And if you miss, it could be a pick. If you throw him a little off, he could get popped. It's just not very efficient. Plus, you're throwing to Emmett Mosley over and over again. Like, teams are going to take that. That's
right. Or you can get exactly what you want, and it's still just 3 yards at a time.
Yes, exactly. If you try to force it outside to Wingo, he's got a nickel that's in position to jump any of the like hitches and comebacks that Sark likes to mix in. Then you've got that corner over the top to make sure that Wingo can't just run free down the field. And then on top with Cam Coleman at the Z, he's bracketed over and under by the corner and the free safety. So then you're just like, well, I guess we're going to run the ball. But then the other thing with this defense is that it can be sneaky good against the run, against these sets, because you have 6 in the box. So you have like an honest front, but then you can get that strong safety involved pretty quickly and easily. And then that corner on top actually becomes like a run force guy. And the defensive mileage will vary depending on what kind of corner they have. If it's like a big physical dude, then that's potentially really good. If it's not, then that's just maybe a spot.
That's where you're running to, yeah.
Yeah, but they still have an end, so it's like hard to get outside on him. So this is why you could potentially expect to see a lot of SEC teams expand this part of their defense next year, because they're going to be looking at Texas. They're going to be looking at all the different spread teams that are emerging. LSU and Ole Miss now basically both running Kiffin-ish offenses with really talented players. Of Tennessee still does this. South Carolina is now running the veer and shoot with Norris Sellers. Mississippi State is doing it with what's the name of that guy that we were puffing up a couple of weeks ago?
Camario
Taylor, right? It's very easy to imagine that a lot of SEC defenses are like sending staffers to Oregon or sending staffers to, the Iowa State guy just retired, Heacock.
Did he? While I was gone?
No, not like he was going to maybe go to Penn State with like a month or two ago.
Oh, I didn't even know he retired.
He didn't stay at Iowa State because he's probably looking around like, the athletic director just decided to pull the plug on being competitive in football, so I'm not staying here. He didn't follow Matt Campbell to Penn State. He just retired. He's like 65 or 66 or something. So if he's looking for some spare change,
yeah, he can just go school to school,
run around the whole freaking country and tell everyone about Iowa State's flyover defense.
Yeah.
So that.
But now that it's 4 down is what freaks me out more, because it's like when it was 3 down, it's like, great, we're just going to pin and pull all day and we're going to make that corner tackle. Like, you had such a clear, obvious way that you could attack, even if they kind of wanted you to take that route and it was less efficient. But this one's tough because you don't have the obvious on paper weaknesses. We'll find it. It's going to become a new thing and people will learn how to solve it. But it's not super intuitive immediately, besides, hey, run the ball, get 3 yards and be hyper efficient, which isn't historically what Texas was great at.
Yeah, I feel I'm a little disappointed in myself that I didn't foresee that happening before it happened.
I don't know, man. You've been on the 4 down for like, it seems like a year and a half now, beating the drum.
Yeah, well, because I saw people do it, and I was like, oh, duh, this is why it's working. I wish I had anticipated it. That's all. But yeah, it's nasty. Let's get to Drew Kelson's question. He says, I think Sark secretly loves playing this defense, and when he has the run game to support and can control the clock. I think Sark tells himself that. I think he tells us that. But I think he actually doesn't super love it, because at the end of the day, he loves drawing up ways to generate explosive gains in the passing game. And he knows that that's the real ticket to victories. And so he'll talk up being a physical program, and he'll talk up having a multiple run game and wearing people out and all that stuff. But
ultimately, he wants the bombs.
You know, when people have like a mantra, if they're trying to like self-talk themselves, I'm a disciplined person. I wake up early.
Yeah, grind set.
I grind set. I put family first, or I you know, the reason that they're telling themselves that over and over again is because otherwise they're not going to do it.
Right. So that's what freaks me out about it. And also too, it's not Iowa State, right? Like Iowa State, don't get me wrong, they had players, but really it was a scheme heavy thing that they would match players' skill set. Now you're getting like real 5-stars in the mix here, like like high rounders, that stuff too. So you get all the advantages of a scheme, but also the high level athletes too. That's a little trickier.
Yeah. This also, like, this was everywhere in the Big 12 when Texas left. And so that you just know that it's going to be everywhere in the SEC soon. And every time I would see a Big 12 team do it with like a few special players, it would get really nasty. Like TCU did it the year that TCU went to the national championship game. They were doing this.
Yep.
They were doing a quarters version because they had one of Gary Patterson's leftover guys. But it was nasty, man. They had like Dylan Horton and that one linebacker that had like a gazillion. They were nasty.
What was it, Hodges?
I think so.
Who's the one that put the dirty hit on Gabriel?
No, he was just a dude.
He was just there
was a couple like NFL dudes. They had like a couple NFL dudes, and it made it so nasty.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about, because it's not just scheme.
Yeah, I'm just reinforcing. Like
Iowa
State, when they had that pass rusher that went really high, Will McDonald.
Mm-hmm.
They had a version once where they had Will McDonald, and he was like a situational pass rusher. And then they had this guy named Jaquan Bailey, who was like maybe an average SEC defensive end. So like a good player, maybe a little elevated because he's in the Big 12, but like just like pretty good. They would play both of them on passing downs at either end and let them play outside. And so then they would have like 8 guys in coverage, layered zones all over the field, and then like an SEC average defensive end and a top 10 NFL draft pick defensive end coming off the edges. And it was brutal. That was the year that they won. Like, I think that was one of the 2 years they went to the Big 12 championship game.
Yeah, and it's so obvious, but I didn't even think about it. They can also just shift right into a 3 down and drop 8 with this as well.
Yeah.
So that's also annoying. So they have like ultimate flexibility with this, and they have the pros of every system in it. So the 4 down, so you can't just constantly get pinned in the run game. You have a real pass rush. You have a real ability to get to all your blitzes. You can get to all your 7-man coverages. If you want, you can stem and get into a 3 down and play 8. Like everything's pretty much available here, and you are going to face SEC athletes with it. This is I'm not super excited to think through this defense with you, Ian.
Yeah, even Pack had a chance to study Oklahoma, and we did a show on it a couple weekends ago. And he was every day that he would study it more and what Venables was doing with this kind of thing, he would like get in our group chat and be like, dude, Ian, this is amazing.
Oh no, Pack's being converted.
Because Pack was realizing, basically all the stuff that I know that I believe in, you can still do all that. You could just do it with even greater multiplicity and disguise if you align differently. Or if you like,
Yeah.
So it's tough. It's more and more of I always make this metaphor. It's more and more of a total football thing, total football. You familiar with that concept? It's almost the World Cup.
Yeah.
Indulge me.
So
is this strategy, I think, that originated with, the term is Dutch. So I assume it originated with some Dutch football tactics. But they're like, hey, instead of having like super strict positions in soccer, we're going to teach our guys to play multiple positions and just assume the position you need to assume to optimize an opportunity. So it was like positionless soccer was the idea. Like you're going to play this position nominally, but you're going to play one of these other positions if that's what the situation calls for. So we're just going to be much more flexible and amorphous and win opportunities more often.
Dude, not related. When I was in Cork, Ireland, there was a huge game going on, like thousands of people. And I never even heard of this sport. And I thought it was soccer the entire time, dude. But they have a huge contingent of hurling fans. And I guess it's like kind of lacrosse-ish, but they don't play around, dude. I was like, hey, man, if we ever need side money, there's some very niche sports with some great fandoms, Ian. If we just learn hurling analysis, there's not a lot of them out there, but that was entirely unrelated, but it was something that was remarkable on my travels. Are you excited for the World Cup?
Yeah.
So am I. I'm trying to be. I literally was watching just like other people give me previews because I'm such an idiot when it comes to soccer.
Yeah, I need to find. If you find a good one, let me know, because I love the World Cup every time. Every time I'm like, maybe I'll do like EPL now or something, and it's like, no.
Yeah, there's a part of me that's like wants to understand it, and then I start watching the games, and I'm like, I don't know, man.
I also I was looking through the men's national team roster, and they had like height and weight listings, and I was like, oh my gosh, like these guys are like my size or like slightly larger.
Yeah.
And so it got me thinking a little bit. And so I was telling my oldest kid is much more athletic than I anticipated given my own genetic makeup. But the chances of him being like very big are not good.
Right.
So I'm
Football's not likely.
It's possible, but he's just not. I mean, it's like there's like going to be like 3 positions he could play in best case scenario if he stays on his current size, weight, path. But I was like, hey, dude, just so you know, if you're like a really good athlete, you could maybe be better at a different sport, like even soccer, than you would at football.
Who just played in the championship? Is PSG, Paris Saint-Germain? I think it was Arsenal, right?
I think so.
And I was in England for Arsenal losing that, and they were absolutely devastated, man. It was brutal. But I'm trying to understand it a little bit more, World Cup, because I'm going to try to actually watch it this year. Being in Europe, clearly that's the big game. No one's really concerned about America in the World Cup, unfortunately. Doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Yeah, when you said Total Football at first, I thought you were referencing Total War.
Do you know what? Do you know who did Total War? Nick Saban.
Yeah.
Nick Saban's football strategy was Total War. It's like, we're going to throw massive program-wide resources into this and just like crush other people with attrition.
All right. Before we keep talking about if maybe Texas would use this or if it's counter to our defensive philosophy, let's hear a word from David McClellan.
Big financial decisions don't have to feel overwhelming. There's someone who can guide you every step of the way. David McClellan is a fiduciary financial advisor with Forum Financial, and he's working closely with his clients as a true financial life coach, guiding every aspect of your financial journey with expertise and care. If his name sounds familiar, that's because David was a swimmer at Texas and a member of several national championship teams. Today, he channels that same championship mindset into helping people win with their finances. David specializes in financial planning, and he's contributed numerous articles to Kiplinger on the topic of retirement tax bombs. And right now, David is offering viewers a free intro consultation to assess your financial situation. Do not miss this chance to get personalized guidance from a trusted expert. To schedule your free consult, email David at dmcclellan@forumfinancial.com, or you can call him directly at 312-933-8823. The contact info is in the description.
All right. Does Muschamp like this, Ian? Or is this too zone? Is this too zony for him?
Too zony. I mean, I guess you could. So this version, this 4-down version, is more zony. Or the Tampa 2 stuff is much more zony. Like Indiana does stuff like this, and then they also play like cover 3. Oklahoma does this with like quarters, so it could be closer to Muschamp, but Oklahoma is also a lot more zony than Muschamp is. Muschamp is like, hey, I can go recruit, hopefully John Meredith, second to that name. I can go get elite future NFL corners. We can teach them to play man coverage, and then we can play a lot of different match stuff and really challenge people outside. So why would I get into this? Remember that quote that you showed where it was like he mentioned like I think like Oklahoma State and Justin Blackman were torching him so bad they had to start playing zone.
Yeah, and he was like, that's what he said. He was like, you guys couldn't guard, so we had to play zone, which just showed his mindset of like zone is absolute failure to him mentally. But it's also too is like, man, the man stuff, manning guys up is sick. But it's like, man, when you get to the top of the sport, hopefully you can do it. But you play zone versus Jeremiah Smith. So it's like, it's those kind of things where it seems like you'll beat 9/10 of teams if you have that ability, but not necessarily once you get to the final 1 or 2 games.
With zone or with man?
With man.
Yes. Exactly. You have to have answers for when you get Shaq or Wembanyama, and it's like, no, we can't just man up this guy.
Yeah. So it's like that's where I love man, but I'm definitely not as much as fans do the aggression of it, because I think you eventually do run into the Jeremiah Smith or the guys at the top of the sport. And so you have to have those. Now it's not like Muschamp doesn't run zone. It's in the 900-page playbook. But I don't think we'll see this iteration, right?
They'll also next year Texas will probably play a ton of zone match, but you'll be watching at home and you'll just be like, oh yeah, they're playing single high man. That's the good stuff. That's what it's gonna look like.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they were doing. Like in the spring, they played like a ton of Ripley's, and it's like, yeah, it's just like. It's basically man.
Muschamp is crazy, man.
But it is basically just man.
It does, and especially if you can get the blitzing in. But man, fans love man. It is their favorite.
As long as you have answers for a Jeremiah Smith, I'm great with Muschamp's deal. At Texas in particular.
As long as you're not hard-headed with those guys. And it shows that he wasn't, right? Because he said Justin Blackman was killing us, therefore we played zone. So it's not like he's ridiculous with it, but
there's also like Muschamp is ultimately, we all call it the Nick Saban school, but he's ultimately coming from the Bill Belichick tradition, and Saban just has the college version of it. And Belichick has a million ways to bracket and erase top receivers while still playing man. Because the thing about man is that sometimes it can free up resources. Because you're like, we're going to cover all these guys one-on-one. Then we get a couple free players, and then we can either blitz them or bracket a guy or whatever. And so there's that too. Because Texas is always recruiting 4- and 5-star defensive backs from a state that produces really elite skill players on a different level than everyone except for like Florida, maybe, then it's great. Just you don't have to do this. But at the very least, Texas better be prepared to face it. Because now it's like the powerhouse teams in their own backyard are dominating with it. This was one of my points in this article. Like Vandegrift and Smithson Valley. I don't know if you know where those places are, but Smithson Valley is Comal County. It's like just north of San Antonio and the Central Texas region. And Vandegrift is in North Austin proper and a little bit like Cedar Park, I think. It's like right here.
Yeah, and if you have all these players trained in it, eventually it'll start to trickle up.
Yeah, there's a million things it'll do. Like you'll have players that are trained to do it well. So you might start thinking like, hey, if everybody's pumping out players to excel in the system, then maybe we should do it because then they'll be good at it. It's going to increase all the different reps and minds that get involved in game planning for and against it. So like the better high school coaches that are using it are going to continue to tinker and make it better and better. And then all the top offensive coaches that are like, crap, what do we do against this, are going to innovate more in different ways to attack it. Like Vandegrift beat South Lake Carroll with this. And Smithson Valley beat Lone Star, like I said earlier, they destroyed them. And they beat Highland Park. So these are like some of the programs statewide that have been dominating and innovating with the spread for years and years and years. And they're getting shut down. What do you think those schools are going to do?
They're going to have to iterate.
Whatever they do to iterate is going to become like, it's going to start trickling up. So yeah, this stuff really matters if you want to see the future.
Fans don't want us lining up 10 yards off the ball on 3rd and 8, for sure. I don't have a problem lining up. The problem is we would line up and stay there no matter where the ball would go. Like the point to me is like stay back so you can collapse in quickly if they get the ball, but we didn't collapse in quickly. We just let them catch it and then run to us. That's the part that made no sense. All right. Any final thoughts here, Ian? And then I can ask you your thoughts on Texas Tech's fun turmoil. All I see on Twitter is like the sport is ruined and da-da-da-da. So I haven't been as educated on it.
Let's bring back that Freelance Society comment from Ukraine.
Good idea.
Getting my Flyover defensive knowledge in from Ukraine. Which SEC teams will do this best in 2026? Let's see here. So somebody else asked, like, what are Florida, Missouri, and Arkansas running on defense this year? Ryan Nelson asked that.
Yeah.
Florida has a 4-down must champion kind of thing with John Summerall, but maybe they could mix this in because
Arkansas has Ron Roberts, who is, what does he say? The comedian's comedian. How every comedian loves Norm Macdonald. Every defensive coordinator loves Ron Roberts.
He's more must champion, like must champ takes from him. He's Dave Aranda's mentor. Ron Roberts is. So they'll probably be more like that in the mint world and the match quarters world. Missouri, I don't know the answer to that on Missouri.
I don't know a thing about Missouri because we haven't played them, so I never.
Yeah, I haven't fully.
Dive into them.
They've been good on defense. They had Blake Baker and they lost him, and they were still good without him. But I don't know their main deal. Who is going to do this? I feel like
I think it's going to get introduced in packages. So it's like everyone, because defensive coordinators do love the new trendy thing. So I feel like it's going to be in waves. I don't think anybody's going to come out of the gate with this as their core philosophy, but I think they're going to be like, we have a package for this to utilize.
I think they might. Alabama would be a team.
The SEC is very slow with that. They like to introduce things in stages. Even when it was like Mint with Aranda, like they're like, we'll do it as a package. And then over time, that became their core thing. The SEC kind of adopts slowly.
Alabama would be a team I could see getting into this. Oklahoma has been getting more and more into it, so they're going to do it a lot. I haven't seen Alabama ever do this. They're just like, they love disguise and moving things around. So I could see them looking at this and being like, we should be doing that this way. Boy. Kentucky potentially, because they
I don't
just
know
hired.
why. I thought Kentucky too, but I don't have a reason behind it.
Well, Will Stein's from Oregon, so he's just been
Right.
alongside it for the last year or two.
Yeah, does he hate? Did he hate facing it on offense? So implement
And
it.
I don't remember who he hired at defensive coordinator. A lot of I think the way it actually tends to work in the SEC is that coaches don't adapt and innovate as much, but the SEC inevitably ends up hiring whoever the best coaches are. And if the best coaches are the ones using this stuff, then all of a sudden the SEC is running this stuff. That's how the SEC came to be so spread happy.
Right.
Was because all the top coaches that would be up for jobs were spread guys. And so so now it's like, yeah, if you want to hire a top coach, then you're going to run a spread offense more likely than not. I feel like my answer to this is I don't quite know really, but I feel really confident that someone is going to bust it out in a new way or new for them and use it a lot. And it's going to end up being extremely relevant to this coming season. But I don't know who. I don't know who the most
You've been noticing it out in the distance, and you've been warning the townsfolk that it's out there, and it seems like it's getting closer every day, type of thing.
Yeah, the wolf will show up.
Yeah, yeah,
he will come and eat you.
Yeah, it's been like a year and a half of you're like, hey man, you've been trying to shoehorn Ford out Flyover as much as you can.
Dude, I had something
now
else
it's becoming more crystallized.
I had something else that I warned about for years and years, and I've just about given up on it. I think it was the Indiana thing. I was like, man, if a team could just transfer in the right 2 and 3 stars, I know that team would be awesome because I've seen Oklahoma State be really close to that just by developing 3 stars without the benefit of a lot of transfers. So if you could be Oklahoma State, but like pick and choose which 2 and 3 stars you get after they've already played college for a couple of years, you could be amazing. And then I kind of stopped talking about it, and then it happened. So I was too early.
Blake Bryant, my problem is recruiting big physical press man corners and playing them in off coverage all the time. Yeah.
Who does that?
He's just us. They're talking about how we would just play off.
But we didn't do that.
We didn't do it to the level.
We didn't do that. Like we had Ryan Watts and he played press.
He did. I think it was more specifically the Akina last year too.
Last year?
Yeah, and
they didn't have big physical press man corners last year. Though.
But fans only notice it on third downs, on money downs. So it's just that, and we were doing that a lot on third. Like we were chilling at the sticks, but we weren't going down. So I think that gives it the outsized version. Me, dude, if I was a coach, I'm not playing press. Like I like the flexibility you have. And now I don't want to play 10 yards off, but I definitely want space. I want to see if they're declaring. Now, if I have some elite guy that can get you off your route, but I want the space to be able to read what they're going to do. So you guys would all fire me as a DC. Do you like to actually press? And I'm not talking about press run away. I can do with that, but I'm talking about you are fighting that guy for every inch.
Yeah, if you're good at it.
Yeah, it's just so rare.
If your system can allow to help over the top.
Yeah.
Sometimes like I'm going to frustrate you here, Connor. If you watch the Spurs are basically playing man-free defense every snap or every possession, where they have these guards that are just like all in people's business and pressuring everything because they have this 7'7" alien behind them. So even if you do get out of the pressure, that this guy's covering it up. So if you have like either a too high concept or a blended safety over the top to one side or just like an Earl Thomas on the back end, then I love it. But if you don't have that safety net on the back end, I'm a little.
But that's a rare player to have. And the funny part too is you often don't even know you have that player, right? Like you might know that you have a really good player. Maybe he's returning, maybe you do. But a lot of times it's like you don't realize that your guy's like that elite until it's like game 6. So you're not going to be able to create a defensive system in the weeks prior before that breakout even occurs too. So you don't necessarily bet on it like that unless it's a returning guy. All right. Are you ready to give me your Sorsby take?
Sure.
To educate me and all that's gone on. I just see a lot of anger on the timeline. All I know is Sorsby gets a hometown judge. The judge gives a temporary injunction, right? But it's still a functional thing because they can't appeal it until after the season. So even if he is ruled ineligible, he'll still get the full season. Is that correct?
Yep. So I have a question about that. And I know you want me to give you answers and not questions. Maybe the chat will have answers. Is it possible that they will give a temporary injunction? Brendan Sorsby will play the whole season. Texas Tech will, let's say they win the national championship. If they then lose in court on appeal, is it all stripped? Is this a possible deal where they win their championship and then it all gets stripped? Because normally schools would be like, well, big deal, right? Like you're not going to strip Michigan of their Big Ten titles in the sign stealing. Like it's not really meaningful normally, right? But in this case, everyone is so gung-ho. You guys are ruining this before the season. If they win, I think it's going to be really bitter. And then if they win and then they get stripped of whatever they accomplished, I don't know.
Fans will actually remember that it was illegitimate because most of the time it's like you can strip it 3 years retroactively. No one cares. And still everybody still gives that person the win. But people are so locked in on this that they actually will hold them to getting stripped.
I think Cody Campbell, I guess my take is that I think he overplayed his hand a little bit because he's got this new money vibe. He's trying to get Texas a seat at the big kids table, right? He's pushing this legislation that would try to keep Texas Tech involved in big time football. It's ostensibly to protect the game, but now that has been revealed to be super cynical because he's completely undermining the game.
Correct.
With Tech's behavior with Sorsby. And I don't think he realized like this talk of the SEC and the Big Ten being like, we're not going to play Texas Tech anymore. Like they are hereby banished to the little kids table forever.
But also, does it matter? Because my thought is like the punishment is now you must play group of 6 and now you will win all games and be auto included into the playoffs no matter what.
It does matter because
it matters financially for sure because those games matter to schools. But I was saying you're just now you must take an easier path.
No, but like they may have a window until the sport restructures and realigns and changes the playoff again. And then he's out, and he's potentially out forever. So
it just depends on what's the real punishment. Because if they play, they have a really good season, they get all the money from the really good season. Then he graduates and goes to the NFL, which was the plan anyways. And then they just turn around and get a quarterback that didn't have a gambling background that is good. They can just keep it rolling. So unless there's like significant financial penalty or whatever, all of this is all performative and finger wagging to me. It's like they still would come out on top of this, even with the moral outrage of just people being mad at them. But physically, they would be fine.
See, I think he's looking at it that way. Where he's like, yeah, we're fine. People will get mad, but we'll be fine.
Yeah.
I don't think he realizes that his disruption, even if it's successful, it's probably going to be successful on someone else's behalf because Texas Tech has the bloody weapon on their possession, you know? And I think he may have underrated the degree to which the major powers in college football, the oligarchs of college football, will unite to keep someone like him out if they feel like he's disrupting things too much.
Yeah, but I feel like those oligarchs have done absolutely nothing for decades and have let the sport. You know what I'm saying? It's like maybe But maybe now this is what they need to take control. But it's like I wouldn't call these oligarchs particularly effective because we've gotten to this situation. And so
They've been
maybe
super effective. What are you talking about? The Big Ten and the SEC have consolidated massive amounts of power and money in their own hands.
yeah, but it's just like I don't know. We're kind of like these guys will save us when they've done like nothing. Like that's why we're here is because nobody's done anything. Maybe this is the inciting incident, but I don't know. I just feel like a lot of
That's the thing is he. That's what I'm saying. He may achieve the powers that be in college football uniting to protect the sport, but he's going to do it at his own expense.
Yeah,
and that's not what he's trying to do at all.
Yeah, he was trying to be the hero. I look out for the little guy. I'm very moral, and that's why I'm doing this. But I mean, I guess I'm just cynical about it.
Yeah, he's on path to beware the Ides of March. Augustus is going to be the one that benefits, not you.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just a part of me that feels like we're all going to do our moral outrage and nothing will really come from this because what does come from it? They just don't schedule tech. Are you talking about a broader, SEC and Big Ten break off? Like what?
I think they're already looking at that, and they will potentially use this as a justification to push consolidation of a higher level. So like, what if they're like, you know what? You're right. We can't just do Big Ten, SEC. We'll have a broader Super League, and the teams that want to be involved need to meet these parameters. And then the parameters will be designed in a way that includes Notre Dame and includes the top SEC schools, maybe includes SMU. And then there's going to be like some little no homers allowed bylaw that is specifically targeted for Texas Tech to make sure that they can't get in. And they're relegated down forever.
Well, it seems to me and it's mixed interest, right? Because the Big 12 has the power to maybe do something about this, but also Tech's their best shot. I was going to say, here's two things. So they do have the ability to, in their bylaws, according to me scanning a document while I was on the subway, but they do have the ability in they have broad language in the bylaws that say like, hey, we might be able to do something about this. But the problem is that's their best bet to have a really good season too for the league. So the interest goes both ways. But theoretically, the Big 12 could attempt to do something here.
This reminds me of Brett Yormark's first year as the Big 12 commissioner. And he went up on the stage and was rehearsing his speech early in the morning before he actually was going to give it. And it just looked like he looked nervous as heck. And then he tried to give the speech to Sark, but the Texas fans booed him so loudly that he couldn't even really.
Even Sark felt bad. He was like
almost visibly shaking at one point.
Yeah.
Okay, that guy. Did you just see the word salad statement he put out?
Yeah, it was the most milquetoast, non-committal. We're going to continue to have dialogues, consulting speak ever.
That dude is here to like try to network on the league's behalf and do basketball stuff and
private equity
get, like, Big 12 basketball in Rucker Park. He is not here to lay down the law or challenge people like Cody Campbell. There's just no way.
Yeah, I don't know what you do because right now we have a legal precedent that you can gamble. Now, it's still a temporary injunction, so it's not like a real ruling. But right now, I mean, if you're a player, if you were cynical, you could just be like, I can bet.
Well, I think it's not as bad as that in one sense, and it's kind of worse than that in another sense, which is that they used the gambling thing to demonstrate that the NCAA was doing undue harm to this guy and his ability to make money. And they're like, who is the NCAA to have the right to harm this person? Because he has a mental addiction problem, right? But that was just the cover. All of these always come back to the NCAA cannot legislate and harm these people's ability to go make money. Like they have no standing to do that. And that was we all agreed with that, and we all believed it was true when it was like, why can they not do advertising If people want to pay them fair market value for this or that, why should they not be allowed to do that? But the precedent was you can't harm these guys. You don't have a legal contract with them to do that.
But now it's that they're beyond any reproach. They're
beyond, because anything they do is going to cause harm.
Correct. They'll lose money no matter if they get suspended for X games. That's losing money. So
it's officially just the NCAA has absolutely zero regulatory power to the players whatsoever. I think with the schools, they can still do stuff because the schools have contracts with the NCAA, and they also have the NCAA has like leverage on them.
But that's why I wanted to see, can the leagues do something? Because that's the big question. So it's like clearly the NCAA is a joke and has no power. Does the Big 12 have power? Because if the answer is yes, then that means the SEC and the Big 10 can start to go to work. But if it's just ruled that no one has power until the Congress of the United States says, then that's a very different thing. And already they're ganging up against the SEC and Big 10 with their bills that everyone else is sponsoring besides those two. So that's my question next is, well, okay, fine. But can the conference do something? If the answer is no there, then that just means whatever legislator gets his bill passed will shape the sport.
No, it won't be like that. Did you see how they're like already taking down? Did you see the cynical way that they stopped Ted Cruz and Cody Campbell's bill?
Mm-mm.
They did some of the Republican senators were like, why is Ted Cruz passing this big bill to try to govern college sports? And there's not a single proviso in here to protect women from trans athletes competing in their sports. I don't think we as Republicans can sign this bill when it doesn't codify protections against trans athletes dominating.
Okay, so they're already playing the games with it to where they can shut it down easy.
Now that people may have a lot of different opinions about that,
which we will not get into, but we
don't need to get. My point is, I don't think that's their real motivation.
Correct.
They're using that as political cover on behalf of the SEC or the Big Ten to stop this bill that prevents the SEC and the Big Ten from potentially breaking off.
Right.
And so once you undercut like a few Republican senators from this, then it's just DOA. Because I'm assuming that it's not quite bipartisan enough where you can get like 30 Republicans and 24 Democrats or whatever. So, the SEC and the Big Ten are, I think they need to figure out exactly what they want to do together. And that is not going to be resolved until they expand the playoff to include Fox Sports into the fold.
Right.
And then I think that'll happen. And then hopefully we can get some kind of actual, let's sit down at a table and figure this out stuff.
And some effective governance.
Some effective governance, yeah.
In the meanwhile, I do, as a fan, I think that's fun to have the total villain of Sorsby. Now, on the flip side, everyone's talking about tech, so they're going to make more money from this unless they get retroactively punished. So it actually will benefit tech in the short term if nothing happens. But
they're not going to do well with this. I don't think their team or their fans are going to do well with being the villain.
Well, that's what I was going to say. They are they get the hate watch now, right?
But they are so used to the underdog deal.
You're right.
Like if you look at Oklahoma City Thunder fans in the playoffs, they were like on tilt and then like crashing out because the whole country was like, y'all are floppers, y'all take cheap shots, y'all are ruining basketball. And their fan base was totally unused to being like a national villain like that. And they were just like melting down. Tech will be that 100%.
Well, it did introduce a whole new level of pressure to them. Because at first the story was for the
pressure on a guy who supposedly has a gambling addiction.
Right. But it's like it's not even Sorsby. Like, of course he's gonna have undue pressure, but their whole thing is like the little guy, like the Big 12, even though they would play tech, would be like, well, see, now we can rise if we have money. There's a little bit of the underdog story, like you said there. So there were people happy that tech was getting near the table, but now that got squandered very quickly. So now you have another level of pressure. You have all the ADs and coaches giving their anonymous quotes on it. So I think they did just add a level of pressure that they did not need to add. So we'll see. But I still
on a dude whose stress release valve for pressure was gambling on sports.
Well, my thing is this, that he's, according to something and like I said, this is not law. This is me on the tube in London reading sentences, but that he was still doing it while he was at Tech, and he was doing it through people. So that's also an admission of guilt to me too. That like once you start, because that's what all the big fish do, right? They have their, I don't know what they call them, but they're donkeys, right? They go out and bet for them. So at that point too, it's an admission of guilt and an awareness that he needed to diffuse responsibility and send bets through people. It's very open and shut. There's no kind of black and white nature to this too, which I think makes people more upset.
But even if he doesn't gamble this season, if you take away his binky, like he obviously, this is something if he's truly an addict, this is probably a coping mechanism for stress. And if you take that away, you could saddle this guy with crippling anxiety as he tries to rework his mental chemistry and his disciplines and his habits to try to function without this coping mechanism. You know what I'm saying?
And even without the addiction,
Not a good setup.
Even without the addiction piece, say you didn't have it, it still sucks when the whole country hates you. Like that also has its own effect.
Yeah, even if you're not trying to deal with it without, like, you're trying to feel like a cigarette smoker that wasn't allowed to smoke anymore.
Right.
Even if you didn't have any of that, you would still.
It still is not psychologically good for you to hear the entire internet does not like you. So
it's not like he's been. I mean, he was playing at freaking Cincinnati.
Correct. He hasn't been on the
no taste of this.
Exactly.
So I feel like in Texas, this is kind of like Tuesday for a Texas quarterback. But
absolutely. I mean, they're able to spark the dumbest of stuff into Texas controversy. So yeah, I think there's that aspect. But as a fan, without thinking of anything other, it's like it is fun as long as justice is served, which I don't know if it will be, but it is fun to have like the villain of football, new money, trying to show up, and that schedule sucks. So they're still going to be able to put together a lot of wins. So,
man, we'll see though.
We'll see if they crack under it because, they lost the underdog title. All right, everyone, head over to Inside Texas for the summer sale we got running right now, 50% off. That means you won't just get our board Inside Texas. You also get access to On3 and Rivals, and we throw in a full year of access to The Athletic on top of that. So we would love to see you over on the board. Guys, stay tuned in for the rest of the shows coming out today. We got something with Eric a little bit later in the Q&A. And then, of course, the Wednesday night live. Once again, I'm excited to be back, everybody. Have you a wonderful, wonderful day. Later.